Today we're going to go over a famous song, An Ataireachd Ard by Donald MacIver. This is a very well-known song and very sad. The poetry in the song in Gaelic is just beautiful. The tune is beautiful. It is sung quite a bit, and some might avoid singing this or learning it because it is just, it's done by so many people and so well, you might think, well, why would I bother to try to do better than somebody else? But the point of this song and of learning songs like this is to sort of make it your own and pull out of it what is meaningful for you. We're going to try to do that in this and other songs that we'll be going over. But in particular, this one is good to learn even if you don't sing it perhaps publicly or in competition or whatever, because there's so much here that you can appreciate about the Gaelic language, and in doing so you understand the mindset of the poet Ataireachd, and the circumstances around which the poem and the song were composed. Ataireachd lived on Uig, which is a small community on the Isle of Lewis, and he composed this because his uncle returned from across the sea from Canada in 1851 and visited Ataireachd there, and as they were looking across the ocean, his uncle broke down because of the change that had come over the area, because in the late 1800s there was a mass emigration. The whole area, all of Lewis, was quite poor, and his uncle was sad to see the terrible change that had come over the area, people leaving, homes abandoned, and Donald MacIver composed this song based on what he had seen himself and the reaction of his uncle after having been gone to Canada for so long. So what we'll do in the next couple of videos is go over this song, pronunciation, translation, and then we'll delve into the song a little bit and the mechanics of the song as it pulls these ideas out, and areas that you can look at in terms of your own interpretation, understanding what it all means and the Gaelic that's used. And then in the end we'll put this to music, and that sequence of acquisition for these songs is one that many people recommend. It's a very effective way to learn a song, so you don't just jump straight into the music and try to fit the words to the music, or you don't just try to sing it without really understanding what's going on. This song in particular, there's so much going on that you really need to delve into the Gaelic, delve into the poetry, and pull that out so that you can interpret it in a way that's effective and in a way that's satisfying for yourself. There aren't many songs that are accessible simply by jumping in and just starting to sing them. So in general, this is a good way to do it. We'll go over the pronunciation here. I've selected a number of verses out of the song, and I have 5 here. Generally speaking, for performance, 5 is pretty good. You want to try to make the verses and their selection so that they tell the story still. You can't always sing absolutely every verse of every song. So I've picked out 5, mostly for purposes of looking at what's going on in the song and in the poetry. You might pick 5 other ones, but we'll go through the pronunciation, and then in the next video we'll start talking about what the poetry means. I will do the translation for each verse as we do the pronunciation, but we'll really dig into it in subsequent programs. So let's just get started. First line, Ataireachd Ard, cloin fuim na Ataireachd Ard, ha toran a chuain mar cholas leum se nam fast, gun vuhug gun truas, as luasrig ganyev na trad, Ataireachd Ard, cloin fuim na Ataireachd Ard. That's the first verse. So this is Ataireachd Ard, the everlasting surge. Cloin fuim na Ataireachd Ard, hear the sound of the high surge. Ha toran a chuain mar cholas leum se nam fast, the thundering ocean that I heard as a child. And I did that all in one phrase. We're going to be breaking this down into phrases. It means more in Gaelic in that whole phrase. Gun vuhug, gun truas, without change, without mercy. As luasrig ganyev na trad, mingling with the sand on the beach. Sluasrig is a great word. You can almost hear the water and the sand mixing together. Ataireachd Ard, cloin fuim na Ataireachd Ard, and the same two lines above. The everlasting surge, hear the sound of the high surge. Next verse, Gat wad leestug ho luasgach faramach ban, na chavik gukruai she gruamach dosroch gun ska, ach strich ki al luas ek bruich na hye vek kaag, maar geugel en slug va ue se valle se tav. So we'll go over that one. Each force of its breakers, quaking, noisy, and white, in such great haste, forbidding, cresting, exposed, but it submits to its speed at the edge of each eddy, like the people who passed on who once lived in this place. So let's move on to the next one. Snacailche na siar, chaniaring fudach go brach. Va min chins ma vian a riev et locken a vai, ach eaten va fiel en griev en catrev senag, et skachpig gungian mar riolus elting ronav. So in the western forests, I do not want to live forever or at all. My mind and my desire were ever on the cove of the bay. But those friends who were generous in fellowship and act and joy have been scattered, defenseless, as a flock is driven by their foe. And of course, that's a reference to the people who had to leave, the people who left Uig. Next, Shelach is loached, cloren mudden is star, et tachgug nam fuaren, en door mi imig joch faaj. Na tochtigen fuer, ne boagelen kushak gambar, san jaun dacach ruag fas suas sa chacage va blois. Now this is a particularly powerful verse, and I've included it because of that. Willow and rushes, thistle, marram, and weeds have choked the wells where I often got a drink that slaked my thirst. The cold ruins with groundsel and reeds up to the rafters, and red nettles growing where there was once a warm hearth. And this is clearly in reference to the homes that were left by the people and which had fallen into decay. And final verse, Ach shuli mi uat charluash mi tuyig nat gal. Ha mush is manuag torst loy et gudit mola. Senaum ranvi suinch fuach san catol avash. Malepi gen suas rifuim na Ataireachd Ard. But I will travel from you. I will tarry with you no longer. My age and my changes show how short my day is. At the time for me to be stretched out in the cold and sleep of death, make up my bed by the sound of the surging sea. So clearly he did not want to ever leave Uig, and at the same time he's seeing all the changes that have come to Uig and how it's gone into decline. Not a whole lot of happy thoughts, at least in these verses, and generally speaking that will be reflected in how you sing it. But we'll dive into the poetry next a little bit more deeply, and number one, you'll get a chance to see how powerful the Gaelic poetry is. You get a sense of it here from the rhyming scheme and from the pace and the rhythm and everything. But we'll dive down into the poetry a little bit and get an appreciation for not only the meanings of the words, but the way that the words are to be pronounced, and how then the music will be fit to the words, and that's going to be very, very important. In Gaelic, we're going to take the words as they are and fit the music to them as best we can, but the words themselves will have precedence over the music. So that's kind of an important distinction between Gaelic singing and other singing. So go over the pronunciation here as we've done. If you want to practice it, that's to be encouraged. As we go through the verses in more depth, we'll also talk about why some of the sounds have the particular sounds that they do. We'll be paying attention to the broad L's, as you see, cloing, cloing, and how that compares to, for example, leum, and the difference between those two sounds. The sounds of the slender R's, Ataireachd, and just to get an appreciation for how we're really going to be saying this correctly so that we can sing it correctly, and the sounds as we sing will come out as they should. But all that in the next program.